This team is family to me. Not only the fans, but the players, the staff. Everything about this place is my home.
Hello and welcome to the club. I'm your host Mars, and this is episode 8 of the Upper 90 Club, a roundtable podcast where 5 friends discuss the Columbus Crew. That said, given that we're now officially into the MLS offseason and the World Cup starts in less than 2 weeks, we'll be focusing heavily on the U.S. men's national team leading up to and throughout the tournament. On today's show, we discuss the U.S. men's national team 26-man roster, just released tonight.
Dropped hot.
MLS Cup final from Saturday, and the Columbus Crew's personnel updates. With me in the club, I have Ben, Mort, and Trey. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
United States.
What's up?
Hawes is in New Orleans for a wedding this weekend,
He gone.
but we'll hear from him in the field later on.
Maybe.
So, guys, I just watched the men's national team roster reveal on ESPN. It left something to be desired, but lots of exciting things to discuss there on the team. I got to thinking about what I would pack, if I was one of those guys getting on the plane tonight. And I wanted to hear from you guys, what wouldn't you leave home without if you were getting on the plane tonight? Ben?
Oh, probably my Switch, because I'm not going to play. I'm just going to play video games on the sideline. I'm not getting subbed in.
Yeah, I hear you. Mort?
Oh, I'm definitely bringing a burner phone so they can track all the crap I'm going through down there.
Yeah.
Good call.
Good thought. Trey?
Passport and a bottle of booze to drink on the plane. Because
Good calls.
Passport.
not going to happen there. Yep.
Yeah, good thought.
Oh, number to the U.S. consulate too.
It's also practical. I would have packed the Bad Santa DVD and honorable mention to a bottle of Maalox.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's jump in here, guys. It's a late one tonight. So, okay. Well, so let's go through the roster. A few surprises there. I guess this is something that Haas would typically do. Ben, why don't you go ahead and run through where we landed with the 26-man roster, and let's see if we can just keep it to the names that
are on the roster?
Yeah.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
All right, buckle up. All right, so keepers, we got Matt Turner, Ethan Horvath, and Sean Johnson. For the defense, we have Walker Zimmerman, Aaron Long, Tim Ream, Cameron Carter-Vickers, otherwise known as CCV for the rest of the podcast. Backs, we have Anthony Robinson, Joe Scally, Serginho Dest, DeAndre Yedlin, and Shaq Moore. Midfielders are Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, Tyler Adams, Kellen Acosta, Christian Roldan, Brendan Aronson, and Luca De La Torre, or LDT, as he will also be known. Up top, strikers are Christian Pulisic, Gio Reyna, Tim Weah, Jordan Morris, Jesus Ferreira, Josh Sargent, and Haji Wright. Did I miss anybody? I don't think so. Yep, perfect.
I think Berhalter did, but you didn't.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, the big headline is that Zach Steffen was left off. I think that's a good place to start. It's where they started in the broadcast tonight. What do you think? Are you surprised? Disappointed?
Yeah, it's weird. So I read or was reading that people were saying that Zach was actually called to be on the team, but he was told that he probably would not start or he'd be second, and he chose to not come, which just seems like that that doesn't sit right. I don't think that happened. I don't think there was a conversation between Greg, because he's come to other camps and not started. He went somewhere.
That would be crazy.
Yeah,
that would be crazy.
Right? Like I feel like that's nuts.
I think there's something else going on. I heard from somebody talking about how there was a picture going around with him during the game that last game he played. It was sitting leaning up against the goalpost, like during the game. So some people are questioning if it's mentally okay or all there and mentally ready for being in the World Cup.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with. I mean, leaving Stefan out just makes it clean. Turner's your definite number one. Sean Johnson's your veteran backup, and Ethan's there for experience.
See, I disagree. I think Ethan's your second.
He could be. I mean, he's playing at a higher level, and Sean definitely didn't have a good game in that Philadelphia game. But, I mean, Turner, as long as he's healthy, I know he's got that little knock that he's supposed to recover from, but yeah, I'm fine leaving Zach home. It eliminates any kind of question at who's the number one, and he hasn't been playing well. I mean, I'm happy to see him actually starting finally, but
and Greg totally dodged the question when asked about it. I mean, I think he just I don't know if maybe you guys are smarter than me, but I didn't really understand Greg's response to that question that Taylor Twellman asked him at the reveal, which was, why isn't Zach on the team? And he said something like, we have what we need or something.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if Zach Steffen is his guy. We all know that,
right?
They go way back, and I think it's to protect him,
right?
And I think there's something more to it that we don't know.
Yeah,
I think he probably did call him and say that, I'd like to have you come. Turner's going to be number one, and whatever transpired from that point. But I'm not disappointed with what we're taking, though. That's a fine group.
Well, let's be honest. A goalie position is one of the places I'm least worried about. We have a couple of decent goalies, and I think now we have obviously a number one that is pretty set, been in our qualification, plays at least maybe once a week or so in England. That's the least of my concern. It is a surprise that it's not in there. It's nothing that I think is going to change our success.
Yeah, and I would add that, with the exclusion of Zach, when you have Matt, Ethan, and Sean, Zach, the reason why he was there is that he could, quote unquote, play with his feet. So if he's not there, then that game plan probably is out the window. They're just looking to have a goalie that can actually shot stop, which is great. I just hope he doesn't roll out like, all right, everybody, we're still going to pretend like we play with our feet. And again, I agree that I don't think Zach is actually that great with his feet either. But I just hope that version of his game plan for the World Cup kind of just goes.
I was surprised by the Steffen thing, but I'm good with who we're bringing. What about defense?
I'm actually excited that Tim Ream's on this roster. I think he's going to be a good center back, and pairing him with Anthony Robinson. They're currently playing together at Fulham. He's playing at a high level right now. He's got experience. I'm happy with the center back pairing there. It'll be interesting to see who Greg does start. So Ben, you've probably got a few more thoughts on this.
Yeah, that's the $1 million question is, I anticipate and I'm worried that he's going to start Aaron Long alongside Zimmerman, which has a bunch of issues. It hasn't looked good. Aaron Long has not been playing good. I know that's his guy. It would be awesome if Tim Ream, a left footer, was on the left side with Anthony Robinson, who he plays with. They're 9th right now in the EPL. So they're in the best soccer league in the world, and they're 9th, and they're playing together, for the past 3 years. The chemistry is already there. I just hope that I see that in the first game. Like, we have Anthony on the left side with, his partner in crime, Tim Ream, right next to him. But my worry is that he's going to throw, Aaron Long in there and he's going to get cooked.
I think it's a backup plan. I think Aaron Long's going to be fine out in the camp. Actually, right now, I think he is. And I think having two leaders in the back now with Tim Ream and Zimmerman, and also the partnership that I already exist from Fulham. And also then you have two man buns in the back. I mean, they're perfect together. So I'll go for that all day. Yeah.
So do you guys honestly think, this is a question, do you guys honestly think that he's going to start Tim Ream against Wales?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Yes.
And I think it has to do with Robinson as much as anything else. I think that partnership, come playing for club, makes a big difference. If you had Chris Richards healthy, Brian Reynolds healthy, maybe it's something different. But I think the partnership playing at the club level, I think it has a big impact.
Yeah, and I think it's a good shout to think about, like, we have Walker Zimmerman as our number one. Our number two would be Miles Robinson. He's out. Chris Richards is our number three. He's out. So I will extend grace and say I know we're going to start at best our fourth string center back in the World Cup. So I'm trying to keep that in the back of my mind when I'm judging these center backs. I think not taking Mark McKenzie is a huge mistake.
Yes. I agree.
CCV been playing awesome, captaining Celtic. I think he might have even been man of the match last time. Like, he has been awesome. He's been in the Champions League. He's been performing well. Mark McKenzie is starting and constantly in the top three best players for Genk, and they're the top of the Belgian league, right? So, like, he's on the best team in that league. He's got to be better than Aaron Long. I mean, again,
yeah, but
hopefully, and go ahead.
I'm assuming you're going to say that you would trade Shaq Moore for him, because I don't see who else you would drop off this defensive roster.
Is he the biggest surprise, the biggest inclusion in here? The surprise is Shaq Moore. I don't think anybody's surprised about Aaron Long, because
on the defense, yeah.
Here's the thing that's weird, and actually, yeah, Trey, you hit it. You hit it right. So right now we're looking at one left-footed left fullback in Anthony Robinson, and then we have four right backs, which doesn't make any sense. So that's like 5 fullbacks, 4 right fullbacks. Wouldn't it make more sense to have 4 fullbacks and then bring on somebody like Mark McKenzie, or here, check this out, or bring on like EPB, who has played in a back 3. So if we need to go to a back 3, or we're playing with a back 5 for defense, that we would have somebody who's experienced in playing as a third, center back. Like Tim Ream can do it. He's, left-footed, left side. I know CCV has had some experience in it. I know Eric Palmer Brown has had some experience. I know Brian Reynolds has had some experience. I mean, even Reggie Cannon has at Boa Vista, which I'm glad he's not on the list. But like, if you're taking a wild card, why would your wild card on defense be a 4th right fullback who isn't that great? It just, that whole thing, like, I don't get it. Like, Yedlin makes sense. Dest makes sense. Scally makes sense. I mean, if Anthony goes down hurt, Dest can play on the left side, or Joe Scally can play on the left side. But like, going all the way down to a 4th right fullback just doesn't make any sense when you have like 2 really good center backs that are performing well, currently playing for clubs that are way better than Red Bull and MLS. The 4 right fullbacks, just, I don't get. I'm super confused.
What I heard Greg saying was that they were trying to focus on versatility in these players. I'm with you that it doesn't make a lot of sense to have such an imbalance on the back line or the reserves of the back line. But maybe they've been working on things to supplement or complement the potential shortfall there on the left side, if in the case that they needed more support back there. What about the midfielders?
I don't think there's a lot of surprises to that midfield. I think it's the only one that I could have left at home is probably Roldan. I think he might be one of those guys that brings some additional value and experience, just being in the squad and every day behind the scenes. But when it comes to adding anything in the World Cup, I don't see anything coming from this guy. I'm actually happy to see Acosta got in. I think he's paid his dues in the qualification. That's probably the one that people are probably going to be poo-pooing a little bit. But I think he's put in the work. I think he had a really good work ethic. I think is probably something that can influence the rest of the team and a little bit of experience as well. Other than that, I think that no surprises in the midfield.
No, I think Acosta and Roldan are definitely your locker room guys.
Yeah.
Aronson and De La Torre are going to bring some energy. Everybody else is running the center of that midfield. Yeah, and I mean, even if you push it up into the next group of guys being Pulisic, Ranawea, and Morris, that's your outsides right there, depending on what Greg runs. Nothing is surprising there. I mean, maybe you could have swapped Morris for Areola, but yeah, I mean, Roldan isn't probably going to see the field unless there's some sort of major injury to a couple people. I mean, maybe you would have brought Tillman for some experience as the youth, but I don't have an issue with it.
I do. Okay. No. So here's the deal. You got Weston, Eunice, and Tyler. That's the MMA midfield. Him including Aronson at that number 8/number 10 means, he may be, because for Leeds, doesn't Aronson play that like 8/10 role? He's kind of like pretty much everywhere. I mean, he like drifts out to the right. He may drift out to the left. I mean, if Pulisic's playing out to the left, he loves to drift in. Aronson can kind of like flip flop and do that. I mean, that's what he's doing for Leeds. So that, to me, that's exciting, because then we could look at a midfield like Aronson, Tyler Adams, and like Musa. Because I mean, Weston's coming back from injury. The one you guys are missing is Malik Tillman. So I don't necessarily rate Malik Tillman that high, but I think he's 18 or 19. He had a conversation with Greg, and he said, he had some conversation, and then all of a sudden he's like, yes, I'm declaring for the United States. And everyone's like, who is this guy? And then all of a sudden he's on the radar. All of a sudden he's at Rangers. I mean, he scored yesterday against Hearts. He's playing pretty well against, medium, teams. So he's not.
Hope we don't have any Scottish fans out there.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's be real. He went into the Champions League and they got murdered, and he was just like non-existent. But if you're comparing Malik Tillman to someone like Roldan, are either going to see the field, maybe, maybe not. I don't really know. Another guy I would love to have seen is Djordje Mihailovic. I still rate him way more than Roldan. He also gives you something different. When he's on the field and pushed up in like an 8 role, he's everywhere. He's kind of like an Aronson. But he has I think he has better foot skills. I think he's better on the ball.
I think that the thing there is exactly what we just mentioned, the fact that most likely neither one of them are going to see the field. And if we're going to have a shot, neither one of them is going to see the field. And we'd rather take a couple of people that bring some expertise and experience in a locker room over a guy that, is just going to have the experience of being there. These guys realize this is their last hurrah. They're going to be there to I'm going to push this team. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I realize I'm not a starter. I have experience. I want to provide that to the team, versus a kid that's going to be like, I'm just here to see what's going on, and maybe I get 5 minutes at the end of a game. So I think that's the main reason. I think we don't have seen the last of Tillman, but right now I don't think he adds anything to this squad.
Yeah, and along with the locker room experience, I mean, I don't want to come across as like a huge Christian Roldan fan, but he has experience in big games. I mean, Seattle's been there over and over and over again before this year. He's been there. He's done it. He knows Greg's system. He's going to come in and do the right things. Give me that. Tillman hasn't been doing it in the Champions League. He really hasn't been, a difference maker. We're going to talk a little bit more about the forwards here in a little bit. And I think Greg made a couple of good choices there. Yeah, I mean, Ben and I had spoken earlier. I mean, if he would have brought Tillman, it would have been reminiscent of bringing like Julian Green. But
yeah,
it's catching lightning in a bottle.
I was gonna say Julian Green.
Yeah, I mean that's equivalent.
Didn't he go to Brazil in place of Landon, in place of Donovan? Yeah,
Trey's favorite player.
Yeah.
So I feel like the midfield is giving us the least amount of controversy. So you guys want to dig into the offense?
So but one other thing I wanted to say was just the fact that McKennie's in there. I can't see his name without thinking about his injury and the others that we have looming.
Luca De La Torre is still, I mean, he's back training with the first team now. And, that being said,
what are your thoughts on these?
Yeah, well, that's kind of weird. So we're 2 weeks out. They said on there that, the foreign players will arrive on the 14th, meaning they'll have 7 days before the World Cup. So, I mean, I think he definitely went with people that understands his system, knows exactly what he wants. That's why, Mihailovic didn't, wasn't even involved, or, some of the players I think actually might have, that are technically better than some of the players that made it. I think it's more important for him that, since he doesn't have a lot of time with the guys, that they can come in and just pick up right where they left off and go. So
plug him in.
I'm not going to fault him for that because it does lie very weird. But I mean, Luca De La Torre was hurt. He's just now returning, and we're going to take him. I anticipate he actually might play, depending on what he wants to do with Aronson. McKennie, it's hard to say. I guess he's back. He's fine. He's training with the first team.
He'll be fine. Yeah. He's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see how it shapes up. What about the forwards?
Yeah. I mean,
you want to elaborate?
I thought you were going to be a lot more positive.
Here's the thing.
Yeah, I thought you were going to be pumped up.
I'm as pumped up as I can be, but there's no surprises, unfortunately. You got Pulisic, Reina, Weah. Those are given. And after that, here comes the things. Ferreira, playoff, did not impress. I understand why he's there. He can provide a little bit of everything. He can be a number 9. He can be playing a little bit more of a playmaker. Just Sargent now has been consistently performing for the last few months in the second tier of England, but I'm positive about that. He's shown that he can be at least consistent. You can question what level he's at. At least he's consistently competing at a high level.
Sure.
So that's why he's been obviously brought in. But then, wouldn't you like to bring in some kind of a joker rather than Jaden Morris? You know what you get from Jaden Morris. It is nothing that's going to change the game, and nothing sexy that's going to be like, oh, we need a goal. Oh, who do we have on the line? Oh, we're bringing in Jordan Morris.
I wasn't going to correct
Jordan Morris. Yeah, thank you for not correcting me. But Jordan Morris. And I'm going to be like, I don't care what bar I'm in. If he's coming in and we need a goal, I'm just going to leave and get the early exit.
When Jordan Morris's face came up on the TV, because I didn't want to text you guys while all this was happening, because I was like, hey, we want to talk about it on the pod tonight, but I could just picture you just like, oh, really? And then just throwing the remote through the TV and just punching everybody. I was like, oh, man. But then I've come to find out you weren't watching it in real time, and I was like, oh, man, he's going to be so bummed when he sees Jordan Morris. I agree, though.
Would you rather have seen Paul Arriola?
He's hurt.
I know.
Yeah, I would take him.
Yeah, I actually would. I like Paul Arriola as go in there and just run because we're winning, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen in this World Cup. But I would have taken Paul over Jordan. What is he? What's his? And this, we can figure out if this is even accurate, but doesn't he just have 2 goals?
Who? Jordan?
In the last 20 games, 2 goals and 1 assist.
Yeah.
This season or something crazy. He's not.
Google it.
He's not doing well. And the thing that's kind of crazy when I was looking down through this is we have Pulisic, Reina, Weah, and Jordan Morris. That's it for wingers, especially if you're going to be taking Aronson and playing him in the middle. We only have 4 wingers on this roster.
So Jordan Morris, not Jaden Morris, had 29 matches in MLS this year, had 7 goals and 2 assists. Etienne had the equivalent of that. He's not getting on the national team.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't get it.
I really don't understand it.
I don't know what he provides, honestly. I mean, he doesn't.
Speed.
It's not like he provides positivity with his charismatic positivity. You know, he's coming in there and be like, yeah, I'm here. You know, let's play. I'm enthusiastic.
He does what Greg wants him to do. He's going to run the outside. He's got speed. Whether we like it or not, that's the guy that fills the role. I mean, and honestly, if not, Aronson can run in the space. Like, you've got Pulisic, you got Reyna, you got Weah. I don't know. I don't like it, but it is what it is, and this is where we're at. I'd rather have him go with a proven than a question mark. You know, he tried that against Japan. He tried it against who else would we play? Saudi Arabia, and we railed on him for trying new things at the wrong time. You know, when you're at this point in the game, you take what you know and what you can count on, whether or not it's good or bad.
He does provide width. He'll stay wide while, you know, Gio and Christian.
Yeah, usually on the sideline.
Yeah. I don't know. I agree. I mean, I think if you want, you can move Aronson out wide and he can play out wide, and then that would have given us an extra forward where we could have, you know, brought in somebody else.
I would say this though: you have Brennan Aronson listed as a midfielder, and he might as well have been in this lineup as an offensive player because he's a part of the offensive squad for me, no doubt.
All right. I mean, realistically speaking, there are 8 midfielders right now that'll be on the field before him.
Yeah, sure.
8. I'm not worried about it. It's not a worry of mine. I mean, play any kind of formation you want. He's only coming in if there's an injury or if Greg wants one thing specific.
So who do you start on top? Is it Pulisic, Ferreira, and Weah?
Yeah. Maybe.
And then in midfield with Adams, McKinney, and Musa, right?
No, I think what he might do is do, you know, Pulisic, Reyna, Ferreira, 3 up top, and then through the middle, I think he starts Adams, McKinney, and Aronson.
So no Musa.
And I tell you what, as a front 4 running at you, if it's Aronson constantly providing pressure, Ferreira constantly providing pressure, then you have Pulisic and Gio pulling strings. That could be pretty cool. I mean, it could work. I mean, it could very well not at all work, but I would start Josh. And I do want to say off the jump that I was hearing rumors that Pepe was actually injured, that he didn't make the roster because he was injured, and his replacement last minute was Haji Wright.
Oh, okay.
Which makes me, I actually really like that Haji's coming for 2 reasons. One, he's doing really well in the Turkish league. He's scoring a bunch of goals, and he's doing it differently than Josh Sargent and Ferreira and everybody. He's scoring with his head. He's kind of a not necessarily a target striker, but he is like, he just provides something different. And I really, 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 really wanted Greg to bring in somebody that does something different, a la a P-Fuck. But the thing is, I don't rate Jordan P-Fuck at all. That's my personal, because I've watched the last 5 starts he had for Union Berlin. I watched the entire game, and he just isn't. I don't know what he would do in Greg's system. There's no way he would vanish. And like, if it'd be like kind of like running 2 up top, and I just rate Haji more. That, and the other thing I want to say about Haji is he's actually really good friends and grew up playing with a lot of those USMNT national guys. I think he's like still best friends with Pulisic, and he was with all those guys.
And I have to correct myself because I said he didn't bring a kind of a joker, but he is our wild card.
Yeah.
He really is our wild card in this squad.
Well, Greg said as much about PFOC and the lack of experience in the program. So,
and Haji Wright comes through the program. I mean, he's been there up through the years. He understands it.
I do kind of want to touch on the whole U.S. theatrical jambalaya thing that they were doing when they were like, all right, we're going to have these announcers and talk, and the whole hype thing, and the fact that they were in like a poorly lit bar in Brooklyn
Yeah, so you're talking about the reveal event that was aired on ESPN that we saw.
All right, can you set the scene for me, because I did not see it. I can just imagine how bad it was.
I can set the scene for you. It's a Tuesday night at Scully's Music Diner. There is the band is about to sound check, so there's probably about 17 people just kind of milling about. The acoustics are bad.
Yeah.
You can clearly hear every individual attendee of the event, because it sounded like there were fewer than 20 people there. They had all kinds of technical issues. It was clunky and awkward, and it took an hour to go through the 26 man roster. Anything else to add, Ben?
No, you had three people kind of, providing the hype. A lady named Kay Murray, who I thought actually did a great job. Then you had Taylor Twellman doing Taylor Twellman things, which gave Tracy and I migraines with all his talk. And then Jermaine Jones, who I have a soft spot for Jermaine Jones, so he did pretty well. But I mean, the problem was they were like, all right, let's, they had Taylor had his narrative, and it was just painful to watch. But the problem was he announced the goalkeepers, and he announced three goalkeepers. He's like, come on out, guys. But the only person there was Sean Johnson. So it's like, okay, cool. So like Sean walks out, and they like talk, and it's like, all right, cool. Chances you're not going to play. All right, see ya. And then he's like, defenders. And then they announce him. He's like, come on out. And there's like two of them. It's not like everybody. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah, and it seemed like they had been charged with all the questions they were going to get asked. This was just a content event, kind of trying to bring people in, but I don't know. It wasn't very well executed. And frankly, I was pretty surprised that they did all this so close to when the guys are headed out. It just was baffling to me that they were going to do this thing in Brooklyn and then fly out for several weeks. So
yeah, they made reference that they were all getting on the same plane and leaving together. I was like, okay,
yeah.
So go home, go sleep.
Well, they're not. Some are still doing stuff, right?
It was all Emma. It was the only people that came out and talked were MLS guys.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm surprised. I'm surprised it's so bad. Kay Murray is a favorite of mine. I think she always does a really good job.
Yeah, she's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't her fault. It was a production problem. Well, so should we throw to Haas now?
Yeah, let's see. Haas is down in Nollins eating some jambalaya shrimp po' boys or something like that. All right, Haas, what do you got?
Check. Shuffle up and deal. Kindergarten, playing basketball in kindergarten. I've got more embarrassing things than the beard twisting that I will choose not to talk about.
Thanks, Haas. That was informative and important. All right. Now, we believe that we'll be right back. We believe we'll be right back. We believe we'll be right back.
Sorry, I'm here for business. Discord Echo, it's Discord Echo, it's Discord Echo, it's Discord Echo.
Discord.gg/crew96.
That's discord.gg/crew96. Join today.
And we're back. Before we go, we want to talk about the insanity that was the MLS Cup final on Sunday. And I said Sunday because that's all I had been saying for the last two episodes. I said it in the interview with the Discord guys.
Just keep it going.
I said it in the episode before that. I said that the game was Sunday, and not one of you corrected me. And it was Saturday afternoon, and I got some text from someone not on this podcast who was like, this game is insane. And I was like, I was completely caught off guard. All that is to say that when I tuned in, they were in the 110th minute.
Oh, that's right.
And I still got a full game's worth of MLS Cup final. So let's rewind a little. I only saw the last, technically it was 10 minutes, but I think it was actually 100 minutes after the 110th minute. But let's jump back. Ben, give us the rundown of the game and we can talk about it. And then I will chime in, when I tuned in later.
Yeah. LA versus Philly ended 3-3 at the end of a regulation. Well, at the end of full regulation. 28th minute, Kellen Acosta smashed it off the face of somebody from Philly and got a really lucky goal off a set piece. 59th minute, Daniel Gazdag received a errant shot from Martinez, put it away. In the 83rd minute, Murillo off a corner kick header made it 2-1 LA. Then in the 85th minute, at the death, close to the death, Jack Elliott put one away. So it was 2-2, went into extra time.
So LA's at home.
Yeah.
They had the lead in the 84th minute.
Twice.
They had the lead twice, right? But I mean, the game is nearly over.
Yeah.
And they, Columbus Crew style, give it up.
Tied.
Give up the equalizer in the 85th.
Yeah. Hit close to home.
Okay.
And I think most of us were kind of rooting for Philly anyway because, it's Philly and not LA. And then I think if you went back and listened to the tape, I think most of us were rooting for LA. Well, we thought LA.
Or we were expecting LA to win. We were expecting LA to win.
Pick LA is different than rooting for LA.
I agree.
Yeah. So, and then in the,
okay.
Yeah. In the 116th minute, LA's keeper.
All right. So I've just tuned in now.
Yeah. So did you see the red card?
I'm like,
did you see the red card?
Yeah, that was when I turned on. I think it was like 109 and change.
Got it.
And that was when really within seconds it was 2-2, and they gave the red card. And I had no idea what had happened. So it looked like a goalkeeper the goalkeeper was being carted off and being shown a red card at the same time. Right? That's what happened, right?
It was
that's what happened.
Injury.
And then,
yeah.
So when if you were quote lucky enough to have some way to rewind and watch it again, like they didn't want to allow it, you realize that there's a reason why it was carded off.
It was crazy.
It was not good.
Yeah, to finish it, so there was a red card. Then in 120 plus 4, Jack Elliott scored. I thought that was the end of the game, and then the miracle goal, Gareth Bale scored in the 120 plus 8 to tie it 3-3, and they went into penalty kicks, and it was Philly didn't make a single one. They missed the first 3. The first one still hasn't hit the ground. So LA ended up taking it on penalties. Now, let's go ahead and talk about how crazy this game was.
Best MLS game I've ever seen that I had no rooting interest for.
Yeah, so I kept seeing that across everywhere, best game ever, best MLS. I just have a hard time saying it's the best game ever when the game ends in penalty kicks. Because for me personally, the game that ends in penalty kicks is just like...
No, but when you get the drama that you get 2 goals late in regulation, 2 goals late in overtime.
That's an oversimplification.
Red card, broken leg.
Right, because it could have gone 0-0 the whole game and ended it up in a shootout, and that would have sucked.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This game was
team being shorthanded, standing strong, getting the win. I mean,
120 plus 4, 120 plus 8.
Man bun, header.
Man bun.
Yeah.
Man bun.
I mean,
Super
sure.
Sub.
The guy, he didn't come in till extra time, right? Bale?
Right.
I think Bale was subbed on
97th.
in extra.
Yep.
Had Elliott not scored, he would not have played that game. Maybe, right? I mean, they probably wouldn't have subbed.
No, he came on before. He came on the 97th, and Elliott didn't score it.
No, I'm talking about his first goal in 85th minute. And Elliott scored again.
To make it
what I'm saying is he would
Yes.
not have played in the game if they would have won it in regulation.
Right.
So in the craziness that we watched, and it was exciting. I have to say, exciting, and I can see Ben's point
Exciting's
of view.
different
PK
than
is never
best game.
Best.
great game.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It just seems
Yeah, but
hyperbolic.
it had ups and downs. It has ups and downs and drama and last minute stuff. But the craziness that you watch, is that a sign of the quality of MLS, or is it a sign of like the pure craziness and volatility of MLS and
it didn't seem that volatile. I mean, I should chime in. I only watched.
I understand
20
volatile
minutes of the
because
game, but-
in the sense that it's like if somebody put in a player and they could always have a chance to win the game. There's nobody just controlling it because they're that good.
So it's
Yeah.
for me, it's a two-part thing. Like if you're going to have a league that's going to have a playoff structure and it's going to come down to a one game at the end for all the marbles, having a game like this at the end is what you want. It's what you want to see as a fan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is
I agree.
in the Premier
Yeah.
League where it is a season-long, grudge match the entire time. Ultimately, you're going to get the best team wins, but you don't get this kind of excitement. Usually, I mean, about the last time I can remember is when Man City won.
Yes, 2010.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with
I
the
was gonna say it.
Aguero,
Yeah. QPR.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the same point, that was two different games making it exciting, not
Yeah.
one single game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I honestly just can't remember a game that has gone back and forth this many times in a short span and had yellow card, red card, PK, stoppage time. It checked all the boxes for just a fantastic game.
Yeah, and the best game ever bingo card. I'm just saying that for me personally, a game ending in penalty kicks, I can't. I hate when they go to penalty kicks. 'Cause I think it's such a. I know there's no better. I don't have a better
But
option.
that's not what made this game good.
So
That's not
Ben-
what made it
Ben-
good.
Yeah.
Ben, you're
Yeah.
saying this game would be better if
Agree.
Elliott's goal won the game than it was that Bale come and score another goal and they go into penalty? You said the game would be better if Elliott scored in 120 plus 4, and you'd be like, oh, great, best game ever. Oh, Bale scored again. Not as good. I'm sorry. Because another game and another PK's not as
I
good.
think if Chiellini came on and scored in the 129th minute for the actual win without going to PKs, that I would have taken off my shirt and ran around the cul-de-sac, but I didn't.
Well,
Fair enough.
I think we could probably all agree that winning or losing a game in a penalty shootout is not ideal. It's widely regarded as
Typically,
what, right. So it sucks that it had to end that way, but the game itself in the 18 or 19 minutes that I saw was very exciting, and I only saw 10% of it.
The game was awesome.
Did the best team win?
Yeah, so I'll take kind of what Tracy was saying earlier and take it one step further. It was neat because it did feel like it was easily the two best teams in the league going at it back and forth. At any time, it could have been any team, and I don't know if the best team won. I think they probably did, at least on paper, they probably did. But I also think for the MLS, because you were saying, for the MLS, it was like kind of awesome. It was kind of awesome that, it shared DNA with the EPL, as in the two best teams were going at it. It was like number one in the East, number one in the West.
Yeah.
Made a ton of sense. And then also the headline across like the BBC and the world was Gareth Bale scores, game tying goal. If that was Jack Elliott that scored, it would got like no one would have seen it.
Cares.
But the fact that, Bale scored brought like this international spotlight to the MLS. And I thought, as much as I hate, buying all, the LAs and the New Yorks and the whoever buy these like famous players, this was awesome to see this come to fruition. Like they were able to, have Bale, this like, soccer god, score this goal and shine a spotlight on the MLS. Was pretty cool.
But I know as much as people might have a problem with people or teams spending a lot of money, because LA have gotten around the stance of getting a lot of players in and spending a lot of money to win now. I think it's also a good thing to challenge the league and saying, if we really want to up the ante and perform at a higher level and win stuff, you have to start spending the big bucks. And we saw that even with the Columbus Crew this year, spending some extra money.
It's good progress. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good progress.
Yeah, except for Mort, the flip side of that is that's exactly the opposite of what Philly does.
Yes.
The complete opposite. They're on spectrums way different from one another when it comes to their spending for their salary, which is interesting. I mean, it's awesome. Like,
Yeah, it shows both sides. I agree. It's like this specific game was awesome. It was like David and Goliath.
Well, and I felt for Philly, you know, I mean,
no.
What
I did.
know what?
I know what you're gonna say. Are you gonna say how they lost the World Series on the same day?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh
don't
yeah, I
care
didn't even
about
put
that.
that together.
Yeah, no. What I was going to say was
for
this.
the union.
What I was going to say is,
Yeah.
I feel for the union because in the limited amount of the game that I saw them in extra time. They scored what could have only been the game winner, 120 plus 4, right? Like, in what world would that have not been the winner? And I don't remember I think it was originally 8 minutes stoppage and they bumped it up to 9. But the fact that they then lost it, or, you know, gave up an equalizer and then just completely fell apart in the shootout. It's a quiet flight home. And those guys, it's almost, didn't the same kind of thing happen with the Supporters Shield? Didn't they like give it up in the last game because they gave up 4 goals to Charlotte or something? Like,
yeah, because the Supporters Shield went to LAFC on.
Yep.
It was like goals.
Was it total goals instead of goal differential? It was something goofy.
Yeah, it was something changed this year that was goofy. That
well,
sucked.
but they
it
so
sucked at Philly.
it was just like
A number of
man,
wins?
They gave up.
I don't know. It wasn't.
They
even
gave
number
up a
wins.
lot of brass
No.
late this year, and I felt for him, man.
It kind of felt a little bit like, I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was for the qualification for the Premier League back in 2013.
Nope.
Troy Deeney scoring for Watford against Leicester. Leicester has a penalty kick to win the game in the last minute. They missed a penalty. Watford goes up and wins the game, like with the very last kick of the game from the penalty. It was like you thought you wanted to absolutely just loosen it. I know it went to the PKs, but I think they kind of lost their minds going into penalty. I think they're just lost in the last minute.
Yeah, and the goal was, I mean, the Bale goal was good. What's crazy is they were playing, I mean, LA was playing a player down. So like, you know, the goalie goes off, and I thought it was actually, and I can't believe I'm saying this, very classy of Fox not to show the replay, because I saw the foul, and I think they might have shown one replay like quickly, and then they didn't show it again. I turned to Mort, and Mort was still watching it, and you were in the middle of talking, and your face like looked like you were going to throw up. And I turned around, I was like, "What? I missed it." And then we didn't get to see it again, but I saw it afterwards. And yeah, they said a bone was actually protruding from his leg, which is gnarly. Mm-hmm. But what's awesome is he's getting originally he got a yellow card. I'm like, in what world? And then it got changed to a red, and I was like, cool. But as he was going off, he was like giving thumbs up and like yelling at people and hyping him up. And he has like a bone sticking out of his leg. Guy's crazy. So then their secondary goalkeeper comes on. That guy was and again, you have to fact check me. He played for the Union for a long time, and he was either a Union homegrown or he had started
his Philly homegrown.
Yeah, he was a Philly homegrown coming on for LA. And then when it went to penalty kicks, I mean, the first one, Gazdag slipped, and that stunk, you know. And Andre Blake makes the first save, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take Andre Blake all day. And then that Philly backup goalkeeper ends up making like 2 decent saves. I mean, none of the penalties were, I think one penalty was actually taken well, but like he made like 2 pretty good saves after that, and just completely skunked Philly. And I mean, Andre Blake should have been able to stop the 4th one, but I mean, in a penalty shootout out of 5 people, you hope your goalkeeper saves 1 or 2, and like they were 0 for 3. I mean, you're not going to win. That's what bummed me out, I guess.
Yeah, back to the supporter shield thing. The number 1 after wins is goal differential per match. So goal scored versus goal scored against per match. And that's how Philly
But don't all the
it.
teams play the same number of matches? So like what?
They played the same number of matches, but Philly actually had more goals scored, but their goal differential per match is what lost it for them.
That is insane. I mean, like, they don't even play the same teams.
I'm lost. Maybe I'm not good enough at math, but like goal differential.
So you're plus minus.
Yeah, it's just goal differential per match is just goal differential, right? Can we agree on that?
Yes.
If they play the same number of matches,
effectively what it should be.
then it's like
if you play just as many games, it's math.
Right.
Well, but I'm reading off the MLS.
Well, and also probably, Trey, what you're reading is the live table standings throughout the season. So if the number of games was different, then maybe they would, but when they all play the same number of games. So
yeah, I don't know.
So so now how I'm right about this, and I'm glad that I made that point. I'm really glad.
You're a genius.
It's just a Morton thing of you to do.
Yeah.
That's
I
very
should.
true.
So it was a great game. Makes me excited for next season. Pretty bummed about how our season ended, but the game was good, and now we can kind of officially enter the off season and think about what's next. Do we have personnel updates to go through for the crew before we sign off?
Yeah, the only like MLS crew things I've heard is that the Wilfred Nancy thing keeps gaining more steam. Like I keep seeing more and more and more. And then there was that ominous story from Santos's Instagram where it was just like that moleskin with the US logo on it. It says, a taste of things to come or something like that. I'm thinking Mortal Kombat at all times, so that's definitely not what he said, but something like on to the next thing. So it makes me think that he actually had this in the works prior to, talks of signing and stuff like that. So I don't know if it's just a generalized coaching thing or if it's a United States coaching thing. Trey, I think you mentioned that he might be a scout because he's bilingual. I thought that was interesting.
That was just a rumor theory. If he's not going to go coach, then he could possibly be somebody who's looking at dual nationals.
Yeah.
To try and get them to come play for US.
Yeah, but you don't get cut and sit in that room the next week.
Yeah.
Right? That was already
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So maybe he's looking for the next thing. And then Etienne also
seems like he's gone.
He seems pretty gone. If you haven't listened already, we did our first interview with the Discordeca guys, a couple moderators, Travis and Kyle. So if you haven't listened to that yet, check it out.
I do want to mention an oopsie-doo from that episode. We didn't do him up top, but it turns out Connor did not start the Chelsea Discord. And then he was like, I'm barely a fan or something like that.
Sorry, Connor.
So.
Okay, well, we'll see if there are any updates in the coming weeks from the crew. I'm sure we're all going to be paying a lot of attention to the U.S. men's national team. Otherwise, I think that's all we got, but we're going to, I think we have another stoppage time coming up next week, and World Cup's going to be here before we know it. So I expect us to be doing a pretty frequent reaction type episodes as the games are played, and as things unfold throughout the tournament. So we'll see you soon. Go Crew.
Go Crew.
Thanks everyone for joining the club. We hope you'll listen next week and every week. even in the off season, to celebrate or commiserate. We'll save you a seat. If you like this podcast, please give us 5 stars and subscribe. You can email us at upper90clubpod@gmail.com. That's upper90clubpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at upper90clubpod. Go Crew!
Hi, I'm Haas. How are you gonna?
Maybe you should throw the. Maybe you should.
I'm
throw
down on Bourbon Street. I'm going. I don't know what's going on. I just have a bunch of these necklaces.